If we could all somehow agree on one season award, the Charlotte Hornets would probably be everybody's favorite League Pass team. They have young talent, headlined by one talented rookie point guard who unfortunately is on the mend. They play a fun brand of basketball, they compete, they are always in close games, they have some of the best jersey combinations in the NBA, and to put a cherry on top for those who chose the Hornets preseason or early on in the year as a League Pass team, they have been competitive and winning basketball games. They now find themselves as a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference with an above 500 record, and is for a number of reasons. The coaching of James Borrego, the leap in stellar play from LaMelo Ball when he became a starter, and Gordon Hayward so far living up to his newly inked contract, which at the time people like myself could not believe he got another $100 million deal. Speaking of contracts, another reason the Hornets have been playing well is because of Terry Rozier. Like Hayward's contract, Rozier's 3-year, $56.7 million deal was another contract that was widely considered a head-scratcher when he signed with the Hornets in the summer of 2019. Even Boston fans were like, for that much money? Go on, take him. Rozier was a career backup before that contract, and he had a decent year in his third season in 2017-18. He started towards the end of that season once Kyrie Irving went down, and it carried over into the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, where he was legitimately really good. His performance around that time was the reason why we started hearing the nickname Scary Terry pop up more often. He saw a huge step back in production, however, once he was moved back to the bench next season. With that context, you might have a clearer understanding as to why that contract offer from the Hornets was considered crazy, but it became apparent in Rozier's first year with the team in 2019-2020 that he was at least on track to live up to that deal. This year, it has come to full fruition. If you had told anybody before the season started that at one point, the Hornets would reach as high as the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, I guarantee that you would have been laughed out of whatever building where you dared utter that phrase. Like I said, you can point to a number of reasons as the keys to the Hornets' success, but there is another starting guard in that lineup that is a big part of why the Hornets are where they are right now. Rozier's offensive numbers across the board have taken another jump from his 2019-2020 campaign. Before arriving to Charlotte, he had some serious holes in his offensive game overall in Boston. Mainly, he had trouble finishing at the rim, and outside of his 2017-18 season, he shot below average from 3-point range. These 2 areas made him a relatively inefficient player, and if he wanted to replicate the production we all saw at the end of his 2017-18 season and make it a mainstay, he absolutely had to improve in at least one of these areas. In 2019-20, the field goal percentage around the rim did not improve despite taking more attempts from the previous year, but with the jump in usage, he started taking more threes. Not only did he start taking more threes per game, his percentage jumped to elite levels at nearly 41%. Overall, he became more efficient relative to his Boston years, and to that point, he had a career-high 55 true shooting percentage. While that number was still below league average, it was progress, and you could see the pathways for more improvement. Now, he is taking a little over 8 threes per game, and he is shooting 42% from long distance. But this time around, it's not just that area of the court where he's improved. He has gotten even better at finishing around the rim. Even though he is taking slightly less shots in that area this year, the threat of Rozier's now elite 3-point shot is tied to his improved finishing. He is attacking more frantic closeouts downhill, and with Rozier's underrated first step, he has been able to get more separation than he usually has had to this point in his career. He has taken less mid-range shots, but his percentages have spiked in these areas as well, putting him in the 87th percentile per cleaning the glass. Rozier wanted more opportunity as a starter, and now he is putting together the best season of his career, averaging nearly 21 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists on a near 62 true shooting percentage, which is above league average. Rozier isn't commandeering the ball either. His improved offensive skills have allowed him to vacillate between the lead ball handler role or becoming a major off-ball threat. Rozier is 3rd on the Hornets in usage, but as you can see on this chart here from Cleaning the Glass, the difference really isn't that big among the Hornets' plethora of perimeter players. The wealth is being shared, and not all of it is heading to the top 1%. It's not just the broad offensive leap from Rozier this season that has been impressive, it's how he's been doing it, especially in close games, which the Hornets have found themselves in quite a bit this season. If you felt like you have seen a lot of crunch time shots this year from Rozier, Gordon Hayward, LaMelo Ball, Devontae Graham, who has bounced back after having a slow start to the season, or even Malik Monk, Well, that's because you have. The Hornets have played in 24 games this season where the score was a 5-point difference or less in the last 5 minutes of a game. They are 16-6 in these games, and they have the highest net rating out of any team in these clutch situations by a country mile. Rozier is arguably the main driving force behind the team's success in crunch time. His shooting percentages jumped to ungodly levels compared to his normal shooting splits, basically becoming a 50-50-90 guy. In addition to efficiency, he is also the leading scorer in crunch time for the Hornets, and he takes the most shots out of anyone on the roster in those situations. I'm sure Hornets fans would rather not have 50 heart attacks in a single game, but with the Hornets' ability to shoot the ball while also having multiple options to take somebody off the dribble has made them a tough cover in crunch time. It's why the Hornets have an above 500 record to this point. They have a flawed roster, someone please get the team a competent center, but they do have a formula when it comes to their method of attack in the clutch, and Rozier has led the charge. In a way, we shouldn't even be surprised. Rozier has always had the ultimate confidence, even when he was coming off the bench in Boston. That is at least one of the first steps to being able to play in these tight games. The next step is having the offensive firepower to back it up, which to this point, Rozier has in spades. It's safe to say that Rozier has more than lived up to his contract given his offensive improvements. And after this season, he only has 1 year left on his deal, and he becomes an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2022 at 28 years old. That's smack dab in the middle of his physical prime. And if he takes another leap in his game in the 2021-22 season, he might be cashing out on a bigger contract, and maybe this time around, we won't even bat an eye at it.